The only thing that needs to be wired is internet connection.
I feel like I'm about to like do a like some sort of drug deal in the back of the club.
Uh,
What you want, Derek?
did you bring the stash?
We are live and talking
Yes,
the
I
latest
should share this on Facebook.
retro gaming news.
Where's our Facebook page? Here in Camp Retro.
I never heard back from the publishers about giving away a what do you call it?
A code?
A code. Why is my brain not working
Uh,
tonight?
Fuck them. Here
we go.
We're live. Jason will be reviewing Lupiro for the Nintendo Switch.
Poop Hero.
Which I did play.
Oh, you did? Nice.
I did. So I probably won't have as in-depth of thoughts as you, but I played it enough to get an idea of it.
We were out of town all day yesterday, and I got back last night and so tired, and I got on the couch and I was like, I'm just gonna play some Loop Hero, and I grabbed my Switch and it was out of power. Like,
I hate when that happens. I feel like every time I want to play my Switch, it's out of power.
Oops.
I've got to get a new Joy-Con for my Switch because it's like borderline unplayable.
Dude, I'm telling you, get that Zelda one. I mean, it's not Bluetooth, but dude, that D-pad makes all the difference.
Yeah, I need something because it's bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna get another one because I want a Bluetooth one.
Yeah.
So I can play stuff like Mario Kart and stuff, but I just needed one in a hurry, and that was the cheapest one, was that Zelda one. And I'm like, man, it looks cool. It's got a proper D-pad, and it works. So I'm happy.
Yeah. So I don't know if you saw, but Jess Harnell, who is the voice of Wacko in Animaniacs, as well as the voice of Crash Bandicoot, is going to be at Pensacon.
I saw. We need to get one of them for the show.
They've also they have had quite a few cancellations.
I saw that.
I checked their website, and I figured it was going to happen. I mean, as big of a lineup as they've had, I can imagine that. Yeah, some had to cancel.
Well, shit. I mean, that lineup is so stacked. If they lose 5 or 6, it's not going to make much of a difference. Because holy crap,
it'll still be the most stacked convention they've had.
Dude, this is like on par with like I don't know, some of the biggest like
this
San
is like
Diego.
Dragon Con.
Yeah, this is like crazy, the amount of the quality of guests they've got now.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I hate that Wally can't go.
I know,
that sucks.
Poor Wally.
I legitimately, like, when he said that, I was just like, man, that sucks.
I need to go. Mike Evelyn sent me a Monsters Anonymous mug to sign and send back, but I got to get it over to Wally so he can sign it too, so I can stick it back in the mail.
Yeah.
Speaking of B-Res coffee, I got me some right y'all.
I need to order some now that I actually have money.
Money? What's that?
That thing I didn't have for like 2 months when I didn't really have a job.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah, I got to sell some of my Star Wars stuff to a friend of mine who's a collector. You know Mike Dixon, don't you? From Dixon's Dungeon. He's going to buy a couple of my my old Star Wars, my Darth Vader TIE Fighter and my original X-Wing in the box, so I can pay for my cat's vet visit the other day.
Yeah, that sucks. I saw your post. That's terrible.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep him around as long as possible, but he's going to be an old man. He doesn't seem like it. It still seems like a kitten, but nope. He's 12
How old
years
is he?
old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like it, but 12 years.
It goes by quick.
Actually, what? 2011 to now. No, 11 years. He's 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daisy turns 10 next month, and seems like yesterday that we got her.
Starts getting scary when you get up to the 10-year mark, because that's when shit starts to go wrong with them, and you're like, I can't help you.
Yeah.
And my vet was like, I told him that he had been drinking a lot, and like huge, like, bricks of pee like out of the litter box. And I was like, told him about it, and he was like, uh-oh. So he went and took some blood, and he was like, I was hoping it would be one of two things. It would either be he was pre-diabetic or early diabetic, or his kidneys were in shutdown. And he said, unfortunately, it's his kidneys. He said, if it was diabetes, that's manageable, and I can do something about it. But he's like, there's nothing you can do for kidneys.
Oh, man.
So try to keep that little old man around as long as possible.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
He's my buddy, man. He's been my ride or die for 11 years. All right,
well, hopefully he'll stick around for a while yet.
Yeah, well, hopefully. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm changing up his diet now, and getting him on the expensive food, but I'm okay with it.
It's worth it.
Yeah. Not that I was giving him crap food before, but not like the expensive stuff.
Yeah, but I get it though.
But I got all my tabs open here, and let me make sure.
Let me retweet the post real quick. I've got everything open, so okay. I'm good to go.
All right, I'm good to go too. All right, well, if you're ready, we can begin.
Yep.
Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Programs to a rare Monday evening edition of the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
And my name is Derek Diamond.
So we had to do a Monday show this week because I've got some comedy stuff I got to do Wednesday. So yeah, we're getting it a little bit early this week, which that's fine with me. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Monday, I don't know about you, but Monday's usually the night that I'm just kind of at home, not doing much of anything. So when you threw out the idea of Monday, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, Monday is normally my night off, but I'll sacrifice a night off tonight for Nerd Cave Retro.
Yeah. You look like you're for those watching the video version. You look like you're making an important deal in the back room of a club. I love the lighting.
I've been playing with the lighting here at Casa de Funktastic, and looks like I'm about to pull down a big drug deal or something in the back of the club.
The blue really, like, it's a nice accent on your brick background, so
yeah,
I dig it.
I might keep it for a while.
Yeah, you should.
Nice little purple hue to everything.
Yeah, I dig it.
But how was your week been?
Not too bad. I was really getting settled in, with the new job and everything. I finally feel like I'm not exhausted after my bout with the Omnicron, the reject transformer, as I like to call it. Just kind of getting settled back into normal routine now that we're well past the holidays now, and getting ready for Pensacon in a few weeks. So we'll I put in our show notes the panel details, so we can talk about that a little bit later on in the show. But other than that, been pretty low-key week. Started playing the Darkwing Duck for the NES. I took advantage of the Disney Afternoon Collection that's on the PlayStation Store. I got it for $5. So that shout out to Rampage for mentioning that in the Discord chat. So I think I might review that next week. I've actually been enjoying it quite a bit.
That's awesome. I would like to actually play that too. So maybe if you want to, have we reviewed Darkwing Duck before?
We have not. No, I went back in the archives and looked, and sure enough, we have not.
I might have to play that this weekend, and maybe we could review it sometime
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah. No, it has, I think, 4 or 5 games on it, and I don't know if it's still on sale, but I got it for $5. So
Okay.
it has Darkwing Duck, DuckTales 2, I think Chippendale Rescue Rangers, and Tailspin.
Maybe we should do
So
Disney Afternoon Month and cover all the games we haven't covered from the Disney Afternoon.
yeah, I like that. That's a good idea.
I like that. That's a good idea because I love those Disney games.
And I've other than DuckTales, I'd never played any of them, so it's been fun for me to go back and see what I missed.
Yeah, there's
Which
a nice,
is one of the things I like the most about doing the show.
Yeah, there's a nice speed run community for the Chippendales Rescue Rangers. I'd like to get in on, but I am not good at that game at all.
It's weird because like I never pictured myself going through a Disney phase when it comes to retro games, but I've even kind of been wanting to play the old Aladdin and Lion King games for the SNES and Sega Genesis, because I know they have the combo pack that you can get on the PlayStation Store, and I believe you can get it on the Switch as well.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, those old Disney Capcom games back in the day, the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, those are some hard games, man.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I remember playing the Toy Story one, but never played Aladdin or Lion King.
You should review that.
Oh, Toy Story?
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to find a copy of it somewhere. I don't know, because I don't know if you can get it like online or anywhere. So
might be able to find a ROM of it somewhere.
Well, yeah, maybe a little ROM action.
Yeah, if you don't want us to play ROMs, Nintendo, then give us a way to play these games an easier way.
Because I would gladly pay a small fee to play it on the Switch or the PlayStation.
I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a retro game today.
Exactly.
But this week, haven't played too much except some Lupiro, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, we were talking about before the show. I was out of town all day yesterday, and we got back into town late last night, and sat down on the couch. I pulled out my Switch and went to play some Lupiro, and it was out of battery, out of power, and so I was too lazy to go dock it and play it on the TV, so I did not play last night.
That's always when it happens. Whenever you get home from, like being gone all day, you're like, I just want to lay on the couch and play the Switch.
What I need to
turn
do,
it on, you see that little battery logo, and you're just like, oh.
I need to get a dock for upstairs and a dock for downstairs.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Sort of like, when you get older, you have like upstairs Tums and downstairs Tums.
Unfortunately, I know what you mean.
Yeah, you kids, wait till you hit 30, and you'll know what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you ready to go into the news this evening?
Yes, sir.
Tonight's news stories come to us from I Am the Rampage and Armez Jackson. And if you have a story you'd like us to cover, send them to nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. First story up tonight is from IGN.com. Nintendo Switch's latest update appears to improve N64 emulation and The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Let's see. As reported by VGC and noticed by those like at Oatmeal Dome, Ocarina of Time on Nintendo Switch Online suffered from not only input lag and audio delay, but also graphical issues that caused certain scenes like the Water Temple's Dark Link fight to look worse than previous versions of the game. Let's see. The pre-update version, they got a picture here. You can actually see the differences. The pre-update and the new version on the right, so you can see the graphical updates that they've done. Let's see. The NSO64 emulator is based on the Wii U Virtual Console emulator, which included specific graphics display functions per game inside it. But in an attempt to make more games work, it was decided to remove these functions from the emulator and attempt to have a way to configure the graphics through external means like configuration files. This was specifically done for NSO, and in their attempt of doing so, they clearly broke graphics emulation in the process and possibly didn't have enough time to fix it. But now it has been fixed. So what do you think? Do you think they're actually paying attention and getting better at their emulation services?
Well, there's also another solution that they didn't mention, and that is check it before you release it and make sure it works properly before you put it out there to the masses.
Yeah.
I mean, I give them credit for going back and fixing it. It does look better because you look at the side-by-side comparison. The one on the left honestly looks like pre-rendered graphics in a 3D, vector program or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But why? I don't get why you would put out a bad product like that. Just because almost for the sake.
They didn't think anybody was going to notice.
But it's so noticeable, though.
Oh, I know. Especially with the input lag. Like, I haven't played any of these games yet because I just still don't see the point in spending an extra $30. But from the videos I saw, I mean, you would see them pressing like a jump button, and then a full second would go by before Link would jump on the screen. You can't play like that.
No, not at all. Like I said, I give them credit for going back and fixing it. And we do get Banjo-Kazooie this month. And then Majora's Mask comes out in February, which are both really good games, but I'm going to sound like a broken record when I say it. I have these games on other consoles. I have an N64 with all those games. If I want to play them, I'll just plug up my N64. I'm not going to pay extra money for bad emulation.
Yeah. Because the thing is, I mean, I know they're concentrating on the N64 right now as far as the stuff they want to put out for Nintendo Switch Online. But if you want to keep, I say if you wanted $50 from me, release like 80% of the NES library, most of the Super Nintendo library. Because you could literally, I have a memory stick that's like 4 gigs, and it's got every single Super Nintendo game on it. 4 gigs and every single Super Nintendo game on it. Don't tell me you don't have the resources to put all these games. Get on the horn and get your licensing deals done. Get all these games back out. If you want my extra $30 a month, that's what you're going to have to do. And give me online play that's not laggy, or be able to play whatever, like 2-player, 3-player, 4-player games, especially when it comes to the N64. Let me play with 3 other people, play GoldenEye. That's what I want. That's what I want you to be able to give me, Nintendo.
The thing that also worries me is, yes, they're paying a lot of attention to the N64 side of things now, but eventually they'll start focusing more on the Genesis. Then when they add GameCube games, they'll focus on that. And we've seen what's happened with the NES and SNES titles.
Yeah, they get bored.
They've pretty much been forgotten about.
Pretty much.
And
yeah.
I think the same thing will happen to the N64.
Yeah, eventually.
I just don't understand how you can have such a great virtual console in the Wii and not use that model.
I don't know. I mean, it was there. You had it. You had the infrastructure. Why did you get rid of it?
I don't know. I like Nintendo. I know we've been accused of being Nintendo fanboys, as we've seen on Twitter lately. But I mean, this I can't defend them on. It's been a bad model for the start.
If you haven't listened to last week's episode, me and Derek did about 30 minutes on the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard. I got taken to task by pretty much everybody. Like, you watch 3 years from now, and probably won't even be that long, whenever this deal goes through, we'll see that I'm right on a lot of this stuff. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to make you all listen to this episode again, or the last week's episode again, and then you're going to tell me you're sorry. You know who you are.
They say it, but they keep coming back to listen.
Exactly. If you don't like my takes, start your own show. Then I can go on Twitter and make fun of you.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. Mm-hmm. you can't pay for that type of content.
Oh, I know.
Our next story comes to us from NintendoEverything.com. Kung Fu Kickball gets new February release date. Whale Food Games confirms its availability for February 10th. Here's some information about the game. Dash into the arena and prepare for kick-filled matches fusing intense martial arts with high-speed sports ball. Train with 5 martial arts masters with specialized fighting styles on 6 different stages. Strike, block, and headbutt the ball and other challengers to make legendary plays for the enemy's goal bell. I want to play this game.
I know, it sounds fun.
You've sold me on it. I like the graphics. It looks like, like high def Super Nintendo. I love the name Kung Fu Kickball. Comes out February 10th. I'm going to get this game. I'll be completely honest. Like, I'm already sold on it.
I'm sold on it, but is it really going to be a $20 game? That seems a lot.
Yeah, it says here it'll be sold digitally for Switch via the eShop at a price point of $19.99. That might be a little pricey. But
yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, maybe they'll have a demo and I can play.
Yeah. Yeah, February 10th, Kung Fu Kickball. I love that it says, let me find the sentence again.
I love that it has that Kung Fu Heroes kind of look to it, that art style.
Yeah. I love the sentence, kick-filled matches fusing intense martial arts with high-speed sports ball. That sounds like a term that, I am one, so I can say it, but nerds in high school that don't know anything about football or baseball, like, oh, it's the sports ball.
Yeah, I dig it. It looks really
I think it's
fun.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sold on it. Like, just by that one paragraph alone, I want to play it.
Whoever
came up
with that is a genius.
This will probably be my Lupiro.
Yeah, probably. Hello there, Bethany Fox. Glad you could join us in this.
Hey, welcome, Bethany Fox.
Let's see. Next story comes from NintendoLife.com. Konami sold this Castlevania Pixel Art for over $26,000 in its Memorial NFT auction. Whether you love or hate NFTs in gaming, it seems some companies are intent on monopolizing on this new trend. Konami, who decided to celebrate Castlevania's 35th anniversary with a special Konami NFT Memorial Collection auction, it's now sold off all 14 unique artworks, which consisted of game scenes, BGMs, and drawn visuals, and managed to bank $162,000 in total. Sale took place on OpenSea, a marketplace where NFT artwork goes for the average price of around $12,000. What do you think about this whole NFT thing with video games? I just don't get it.
So to be perfectly honest, I don't really know anything about NFTs, so I can't really say much on the subject other than the picture that they show in the article. It looks really cool. Like, whoever put it together did a fantastic job, and I think it'd be a great collector's item. I ain't paying $26,000 for it though.
Yeah, but I don't understand NFTs because it's not like you can show it off.
Yeah.
Like, you could put a JPEG of it on your Twitter and be like, hey, I own this. Okay. Why?
Like this, this Castlevania thing specifically, this will be something I'd want to frame and hang up in my house.
Yeah, this looks like a really
have it on display.
Really cool poster of this Castlevania Dracula's Castle pixel art. It's got the whole Castlevania map on it with all the different enemies around and everything, and it's really cool looking. Like, I would love to have this as sort of like a shadow box art type of thing.
Yeah, no, it would look really cool that way. Also, shout out to Rampage,
Rampage.
who has joined us in the chat. Rampage. Yeah, I just, and maybe it's me showing my age, but I have not gotten on the NFT bandwagon. It's weird because when I pre-ordered my tickets for Spider-Man for opening night, it came with a Spider-Man NFT.
Yeah.
But I didn't even bother to look at what it was because I'm like, what is this? I see it on Twitter, especially a lot now with a lot of things, but I haven't bothered to look up really what it is, and I should.
Because it's sort of like the way it seems to me, the way it sounds to me, like the way NFTs work, that it's like, yeah, anybody can, download the JPEG, but you're the one that basically has a receipt that says, yeah, I own this. Like, and then what? It's like you own a receipt. I don't get it.
I love this line at the end of the article. If you do feel like you've missed out, you can always head over to Google, search for some Castlevania artwork, and make it your screen.
Exactly. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. You just make it your screen's wallpaper, and you didn't have to pay $26,000 for it.
I just don't get how you could pay that kind of money for a JPEG.
I don't know. I don't get it. It's weird. It's weird. Can we just admit it's weird?
It is very weird.
I know we probably got some like NFT people listening right now that are really mad at us for talking about this, but it's weird. You got to admit it's weird.
We'll hear about it on Twitter this week.
I'm sure Wally will be like, "Hey, NFTs are the greatest thing."
Probably.
And you're wrong, sir.
If anything, he would do it just to spite you.
Probably. Welcome to 22 years of us knowing one another.
It makes for good Twitter content though. Every time I get a notification of Wally tagging Nerd Cave Retro on Twitter, I just don't even have to read it, and I'm just like, oh boy, here we go.
Oh, this next story.
I've been wanting to talk about this since last week. From NintendoLife.com, Logan Paul got scammed to the tune of $3.5 million on fake Pokemon trading cards. If you follow the Pokemon trading card scene, you might have heard recently how the YouTuber Logan Paul managed to get his hands on what was apparently the only known sealed box of first edition base set Pokemon cards. He forked out a whopping $3.5 million for the lot, and well, it turned out he got scammed. After concerns were raised about the authenticity of the cards by the Pokemon TGC Cup community, Paul decided to unbox the card packs with the help of some experts, only to discover they were filled with G.I. Joe trading cards.
Honestly, I'd rather have the G.I. Joe trading cards, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what generation you're from.
I wouldn't pay $3.5 million for them.
No, but I mean, Logan Paul, like that's like change to him. Like he's probably made that back already. But he wrote, I'm a super positive person, bro, and I'll always be the one to look on the bright side, and I'm trying, but this is very hard. It's just so sad for all parties involved. It's sad for the Pokemon community. Like how many fraudulent things are out there. I'm grateful for the things I have that are real now. I'm picturing my Charizard in my head. Something real, something worth a lot of money that is real. Damn, bro. I just went from 11 first edition boxes to 5. We got effed. End of story. On one hand, I feel bad for him because like he legitimately got scammed.
Yeah. I mean, I do feel bad for him, but then again, I don't because like you said, he's probably already made that money back. So
yeah,
$3.5 million to him is like, $100 to us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just shows still that, you got to be really careful with what you buy online and where you buy it because somebody out there is always trying to scam someone.
What I don't understand is like these people went and actually put these G.I. Joe cards back in those wrappers and sealed them back up or did they okay, I see that they're in G.I. Joe card packs. So did they just put it in the Pokemon? How did they get it inside the Pokemon box and seal it back up?
Probably just very thorough boxing and unboxing, if I had to guess.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's how a lot of people make their living.
I'd be so
By
mad.
scamming people.
I mean,
oh, I'd be livid.
I would find the person that did this, and it'd be like the end of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
I would fight them like Peter and the Giant Chicken from Family Guy.
Exactly.
Just all over the place.
Oh man. Poor Logan Paul.
Yeah. Yeah, good to know he's a Pokemon fan though.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I don't know much about Pokemon, but yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. Yeah.
This last story comes from GameInformer.com. 34 Raven Software QA employees unionize after weeks of striking. Nearly 36 Raven Software employees have agreed to form a union. Announced in a press release, this union is called the Game Workers Alliance Union and is part of the larger Communication Workers of America collective. This new union is asking Activision Blizzard, which will be acquired by Microsoft at the end of the fiscal year 2023, to voluntarily recognize the union without hesitation. Today, I am proud to join with supermajority of my fellow workers to build our union, Game Workers Alliance. Raven QA Functional Tester 2, Becca Agner, writes in a press release. In the video game industry, specifically Raven QA, people are passionate about their jobs and the content they are creating. We want to make sure that the passion from these workers is accurately reflected in our workplace and the content we make. Our union is how our collective voices can be heard by leadership. So what do you think about these? Do you think this is going to be the beginning of something as far as unionization of video game programmers, workers, etc.? Because I feel like this has been something that's kind of been brewing for a long time. And honestly, I mean, I don't have anything against unions because these poor people, I mean, you read about things like crunch time and all that kind of stuff. And these people are just being worked to death. And I think that it's high time they start getting their due.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it'll definitely be something to pay attention to. Not just through this year, but in the coming years. You know, this could be something that we look back on 3-5 years from now at the start of unionization in video game employees.
I think this is going to be the beginning, because if Microsoft recognizes it and they're no longer under the tyranny of Activision Blizzard, these employees are probably going to go ahead and unionize, and I think that'd be a good thing for the industry, honestly.
Yeah, no, like you said, as many hours and energy and how much sweat and tears they pour into their work, they deserve to get something for it.
Exactly. But that's going to do it for the news this week. You ready to go into this month in video game history?
Sure.
In January of 1981, Atari Computer Magazine Analog Computing begins 9 years of publication. Most issues include at least one basic game and one machine language game.
This, if you click on the article, there's a really cool cover of the June 1986 edition. Mm-hmm. It says Atari in the Home, a piece of cake. It's a cake that looks like an Atari, and I think that looks really cool.
They were 30 years ahead of their time with the whole cake that looks like things.
Yeah, exactly. Guy, that phase was on social media for like 5 minutes, and then it just completely went away.
It was weird.
I never knew of this magazine. Like I always think of Nintendo Power as like the pinnacle of video game magazines back in the day. So let me ask you, what were your go-to gaming magazines back in the day? Were you just a Nintendo Power guy, or did you read more?
Well, yeah, of course, Nintendo Power, and I used to get Game Pro and Electronic Gaming Monthly, and occasionally I would pick up like just a random like computer magazine or something, not like Omni or anything that featured computers or something, Yeah,
Nintendo Power and Electronic Gaming Monthly were my go-tos. Like that's how
Yeah.
I got all my gaming news, how I found out what was coming out.
And I always liked Electronic Gaming Monthly because you felt like you got your money's worth with that magazine because it was always like thick.
And it covered everything.
Yeah.
Like it covered all consoles. Like, you know, Nintendo Power was great if you wanted to know just the Nintendo side of things. But, you know, as I started getting into Sega Genesis and then PlayStation, Electronic Gaming Monthly was kind of the way to go. Though Nintendo Power will probably always be my number one just for the sentimental value of it. But EGM was such a great magazine.
Yeah, I mean, they would cover, like you said, Nintendo, Sega. They would do Neo Geo stuff. They would cover the stuff coming out in the arcades. They would cover computer games. I mean, it was everything in one magazine. That's why each issue was like, you know, an inch thick. And I was so happy every month or every other month that it was published. I was like, oh, it's time for Electronic Gaming Monthly. That was a lot of toilet reading.
Oh, absolutely. And you were justified in paying like full price for that magazine because you just got so much was in each issue.
I think they were roughly about what $7-8 an issue or something like that.
Yeah.
Back then, I can't really remember how much. I remember they were expensive even at the time, but man, you would just get your money's worth.
Absolutely. January 13th of 1982, Midway releases Miss Pac-Man, despite it being copyrighted as 1981. It is, as the name suggests, the sequel to Pac-Man, but was created without Namco's authorization. They also released Baby Pac-Man and Pac-Man Plus without Namco's authorization later in the year. The former is a pinball/video game hybrid, which I know we've talked about before. Miss Pac-Man, probably more popular than the original.
I was gonna say, can you think of any other game where it was created without permission? Like it was complete copyright infringement, had nothing to do with the original game, but became more popular than the original game. So then the owners of the original game, instead of suing, just bought the property. Like, has there ever been any other time in video game history that happened?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. But that's a great trivia question, though.
I'm going to have to look that up because yeah, I mean, Miss Pac-Man, how often do you see a Pac-Man machine these days? But you go into any pizzeria in America and you're 99% of the time you're going to see a Miss Pac-Man machine.
It's got to be, I think, top 3 most iconic arcade games of all time.
I'll be honest. I think Miss Pac-Man is way more iconic than Pac-Man.
Oh, 100% agree. For what you just mentioned, how, like, if you go into an arcade, you're going to see a Miss Pac-Man machine, not original Pac-Man.
Yeah, you rarely see any just regular Pac-Man machines.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where am I at? Oh, here we go. January 24th of 1984, Apple Inc. announces the original 128K floppy disk only Macintosh. Ooh, that whole big 128K, son.
Right, man. You could store a whole 5-second MP3 with that.
Not even that. Like not even a JPEG. You couldn't save anything on that now.
Maybe like a low quality JPEG.
Yeah.
You could put a couple of those on there.
Oh man, look at this beauty. Look at that beauty.
I'm a sucker for 80s computers and 80s technology. Just I love the look of it.
Look at Steve Jobs back in 1984.
Man, that head of hair. That mouse, the whole thing.
That is the most comfortable looking mouse I think I've ever seen.
I know, right?
You're like holding a brick.
Of course, the rainbow colored apple that's on there. Those that remember the early days of Apple, that was their logo. I see
that logo and I'm instantly transported back to like the 3rd or 4th grade when we would go to computer class and we would have the Apple IIs.
Yeah, I remember at my grandparents' old business back in the early 90s, they had a Macintosh computer. Because I remember that rainbow colored apple just staring me in the face.
They need to make
anytime I would look at it.
Retro style iMacs or MacBooks with the old logos and stuff. I think that would be cool.
No, because then I'd want to buy one.
Yeah, I would get one. They would get my money.
Yeah, I would get one too. I'm not even gonna lie.
I'm in the market for a new iMac, Apple. So if you put out one that's a retro iMac, you got my money. You got it.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, it would.
Let's see. January 21st of 1998, Capcom releases Resident Evil 2 for the PlayStation.
One of my favorite games ever.
One of these days, I'm going to play through the Resident Evil games.
You need to, dude. I can't believe you haven't done it.
They used to scare me when I was younger.
Bethany Fox brings up a good point, too. Bring back transparent consoles.
Yeah, I remember those. I remember they had like the transparent N64s. Like you had the green one. I think you had a purple one. They even did it with Game Boy too.
Is there anything that says 90s more than transparent stuff? Like, why are we so obsessed with transparent things? Phones.
Because you got to see the chips and all the technology inside of it.
Swatches and phones and consoles, everything.
It's fun going back and looking at the trends of different
Can you imagine if you got an iPhone that was transparent?
It would probably scare me, to be honest. I'd be so distracted by just looking at everything that's in it that I would never actually use it.
You know, I don't know why this makes me think of it, but it just makes me think of those old Sports Illustrated commercials back in the 90s. Like, get 12 months of Sports Illustrated for only 38 cents. And then you get this, football phone. And, they would give you, like, weird stuff like that, like a football phone or like a transparent football helmet or something like that. Weird.
The starter jacket of your team's choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those.
Man, I need to go back and do another stream of, like, old retro commercials.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That was always fun to do.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Two more. We have January 24th, 2000. Crazy Taxi is ported to the Sega Dreamcast. I always liked Crazy Taxi. I wish they would bring that back.
22 years ago today,
wow.
It was put on the Sega Dreamcast. I saw somebody posted it on Facebook earlier, and I can't remember who it was, but I was like, oh, I put that in gaming history. So, yeah, Crazy Taxi was fun. It was one of the few non-Sonic games I had for the Dreamcast. I liked it. I don't know why they didn't do anything more with it.
I wonder if Joey Image has a copy of it for his 18 Dreamcasts that he has.
I would hope he has one for at least 17 of the 18 copies.
Yeah. If he doesn't, I might have to. I think I know a good birthday present for him.
Oh, there you go.
Good night, Bethany Fox. You're down under. I know it's probably like 8 o'clock in the morning or something there. So
yeah, he said he was on his lunch break.
Oh yeah.
So that's why he was watching. Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in, Bethany Fox.
But the last one.
Yep, January 16th of 2001, Mario Tennis is released for the Game Boy Color. So the cool thing about the Game Boy Color edition, so late in the N64's lifespan, you got this adapter that you plugged into the controller, and you mostly used it for Pokemon Stadium because you could plug in your copy of Red, Blue, or Yellow, and you could play the actual Game Boy game on the N64, but you could also port your Pokemon from that game into Pokemon Stadium and use them in tournament battles. You could do the same thing with Mario Tennis. So you could create your own character in Mario Tennis, you level them up with their different skills and everything, and then use that same adapter to port them over to the N64 version and use them in that game.
That's cool.
It was really fun.
I've never played a Mario Tennis or tennis game ever.
Mario Tennis is probably my favorite Mario sports game. Like, golf is pretty fun. I mean, if you count Mario Kart, then I would say that, but I put that as its own separate category.
Oh yeah, that's a whole separate genre in its own by itself.
I loved Mario Tennis for N64. It was really underrated game and also introduced Waluigi.
Oh yeah,
for those who may not know.
But before we go into the review tonight, Derek has some shout-outs.
Yeah, as always, we like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro for keeping the lights on for us here at the show. We want to shout out Tyler Watson, XBlade07, Daniel Salmon, Armez Jackson, Hand Solo, Carlos Longoria, aka Rampage, Staff Sergeant Sketch, Brandon Rutledge, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Joey Image, Ron Johnson, Mixmaster, and Mr. B-Res Coffee himself, Mike Evelyn. Thank you all so much for your continued contributions. And because you've kept us at the $50 level, we'll continue to do fun commentary tracks, which I know we're going to do our commentary track for January in the next few days. So be on the lookout for that. If you want to vote on show topics, we post polls every now and then asking what you would like us to review. So if you want to be a part of our awesome Patreon community, just head on over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And for new patrons, send us your social media info, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, email, whichever you prefer, so we can give you a proper shout out.
And tonight we're going to be talking about... This game's got some good music. Lupiro is an endless RPG slash roguelike slash deck builder developed by 4 Quarters and published by Devolver Digital. And if you don't know who Devolver Digital is, they have made dozens and dozens and dozens of games, which I'm not going to list right now. But it does come out. It came out March 4th, 2021 for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux, and it was released on the Nintendo Switch December 9th of 2021. Game begins after the world has ended, while the introductory dialogue explaining that an evil lich obliterated reality and all of the things in it. The hero awakens in a small camp on a path and sets out to try and rebuild his world. Along the way, he encounters other survivors who either assist him in trying to reconstruct the world, or who, in despair, consider it lost and attack him in an effort to further their own survival. Now, I heard so many people talking about this game last year on a lot of the gaming podcasts that I listened to, and everybody was playing it on Steam, and I didn't even know it had a Switch port until a couple of weeks ago, when I saw people posting about it on Twitter, and I was finally like, you know what? I'm going to give this thing, give it a try, because I heard nothing but good things about this game. Soon as I started playing it, it seemed a little bit, like when you first start playing it, it seems a little bit daunting, because there's a lot going on. You start off as, and how would you describe this? Like, there's this little path. It's just, okay, well, you got your opening credit scene. Of course, you're talking to, the lich who destroyed the world. And then you're this little white, very, like 2-bit character on this little loop that's like a pathway on your screen. And as you're going around, you at first you're fighting these little blobs, and the little blobs give you weapons and things like that. And the further you go, you start to you do like it has like a deck building a component to it, where you kill things and you get these cards, and you can place these cards. They have different functions. Like, you have one card that is like a grove, and you put that grove on your like on a part of your loop. And each day that passes, and time is constantly passing while you're on this loop. You're just endlessly walking around this loop until you're almost dead, and you make it to your camp, and then you can end the game and get to keep all your stuff. But if you die while you're on the path, you only get to keep like 30% of your loot. And when you get done with your path, then you start the middle sections in between your loops, where you start to build a community with other survivors. And as you go through your loops, then you start to get more and more resources to build things like, and eat like a cafeteria and a graveyard, things that, society needs. So, Derek, you said you got to play this a little bit this week. What have you thought about it so far?
Well, it wasn't at all what I thought it was going to be, because I read little to nothing about it because I wanted to just dive in and see what the hype was about. Because, I know you've talked about it several times on the show and then just in conversations we've had off the air about it. So, downloaded it, and I thought the same thing that you mentioned. It was a lot, like right at the very beginning. But the good thing is, for those who might be thinking of playing the game, you do go through a pretty detailed tutorial that shows you how to do everything, like how to add to the map. You get to add like different elements to the environment, like meadows or pieces of a mountain. You do add things that you can interact with, such as like one of the cool things is the vampire's mansion. And every time if there's an enemy by it and you fight him, then there's a vampire with him.
And the cool thing about
you get more loot that way.
Yeah, exactly. Like the things you can add to the map, like you put the vampire mansion on your map. When you fight an enemy that's near that mansion, you get to fight the vampire too. So that's more loot, but it's also, you stand a better chance of getting your ass kicked too. So it's kind of like, do I want to put this here? And you can hold on to your cards as well. And if you fill up your card thing at the bottom, then it'll just, if you get a new card, it'll just get rid of the first card there. So you can hold on this stuff if you want to, if you don't want to put it on there. You also get other cards that will destroy something on the map. So, and you have things like, you get like rocks and meadows, like you said, and little mountains. And if you put like 6 mountains in a grid, they'll fuse together and make like a mountain range. And from that mountain range, Valkyries will fly down from the mountain range and go onto the map, and you can fight them too. But if you get like 10, rocks in a row, then a cave will appear on the map with, trolls or something, or whatever they are. And they're really hard to fight. So if you have these cards that you can destroy one thing on the map. So if you want to if you get 10 things of rocks and you have that troll or whatever they are thing there that pops up on your map, you can actually, and you get that card to destroy one thing, you can go and destroy that little cave that popped up. So you can kind of manage your loop a little bit that way. But there's a lot to it, and there's you really have to read your cards and see what the benefits are, because everything has a benefit, but it also has a downside too. So it's not like, it's sort of like everything's a balance in the game. So that's just kind of one of those things you kind of have to you have to pay attention to when you're putting stuff on your map, or you're trying to use like a card for something. Like, you really want to read it and find out, like, okay, well, how is this going to benefit me? But also, is there a downside to it as well?
Yeah, and that can be the fun, or part of the fun of the game, is really like, it's like that old saying, you play the hand that you're dealt.
Yeah.
Because you get the cards at random. Like, it's not like a predetermined thing. And it's strategizing, where do you want to place things? And the interesting thing about this game is that it's like a combination of so many different types of games. Like, I noticed like there's some type of games where cards are involved. Like, there's a Kingdom Hearts game that's like that. There was a Pokemon trading card game where it's like a card-based system. It reminded me of elements of that. It also reminds me of the old SimCity game for the Super Nintendo, where you place things in certain areas on the map, and depending on where you put them and how many you have together, it completely changes the element. And you get things like the spider cocoon as well. You place that, and then every so often, some spiders will come out, and you have to fight them. You get things like battlefields, beacons of light. So many cool things. So it's not at all what I expected it to be.
I know,
but
Rampage made a comment. He says sounds like a lot of work. It does, but it's not really. Like, it's very intuitive and very easy to play. But there's an element of, there's a deepness to this game that it's, I can't explain. Like, there's just so much to the game, but it's so ridiculously easy to play. And I think that's the magic of this game.
Yeah, it can be a little intimidating at first, but once you really get the formula down, it's pretty easy.
And what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, about like the graphic style of the game. Like, you first start playing it and you see this loop, and you're just a little 2-bit white character. Like, little
It reminded
blob.
me of an old computer game from like the early 90s.
That's what I was gonna say. It looks like a really, like a computer game from like the late 80s, early 90s, something that would have been on like the Amiga or something like that, or like an old Windows game or something. But then you come across something to fight, and a little window pops up, and it looks like Super Nintendo era Final Fantasy graphics. And that style of fighting, where it's automatic fighting. You don't have to press anything; like, it automatically does it, and you just sort of watch things happen. But and then you go in between your loops where you're going and talking to your villagers and stuff like that. And there's a lot of detail in the. It's like you said, it's like a SimCity type of thing where you're building this community with people. But yeah, it's very, very interesting game, and I think it may sound like there's a lot to it, but there's not really. And the way the game is set up, it's very, very. It's one of those games that's sort of like just one more turn, just one. Let me do just one more loop, and it's got that kind of gameplay that just sucks you in.
Yeah, I noticed that too when I started to play it. I went around the loop, like, I think 3 times, and I was like, okay, I'll do one more and then I'll be done. And then 1 turned into 2, 2 turned into 3. So it's like I said, once you get the repetition and the pattern down, and you figure out how to use the cards, and you also get upgradable weapons and armor as well. And you also really have to pay attention to what you grab, because sometimes you can get stuff that's not as powerful as what's currently equipped. So you really have to be mindful of what you pick up.
Yeah, you get loot too. Like, you've got you got unlockable character classes. Like, I've unlocked. Well, you start off with the warrior, basically just the warrior class, and they wear, of course, like plate mail and stuff like that. So when you're going around the loop as a warrior, you're going to pick up, better, a better sword or whatever weapon, clubs and things like that, necklaces, chest plates, things of that nature. And then I've unlocked the Necromancer. And the Necromancer is awesome because you summon skeletons and, crazy ghouls and stuff that fight for you. And it's so freaking fun to play as the Necromancer.
I haven't made it that far yet, but that sounds badass.
It's so cool. And eventually I'm going to get a rogue type character, which I'm interested to play. But I got to say, I've said it before, and Wally was making fun of me this morning because he was like, isn't this like the 3rd time you reviewed Lupiro? I'm like, yes, Wally, but, but the thing is, like, if I would have played this game in 2021, this would have been my game of the year easily.
That's saying a lot.
It's so
That's really saying a lot.
So, I had a couple of bucks saved up on my Nintendo account. Of course, I had my free $5 a month from GameStop. So I plopped down, $15 $15 for this, and if I had actually paid the full $15 with actual money, you know, it's totally worth the $15. Which if you're not doing the GameStop thing, you know, I don't know why you're not, because that's a free $5 every month, that's just money you're leaving on the table right there.
Yeah, it's so far I would definitely say it is worth the full price, because you could just play it for so long, and there's just always something to do. It's just like it's like you said, it's a never-ending game.
And I have come across a glitch in the game, though. When you go once you start building up your town and stuff like that, and you start building resources for your town, you can go under a supply tab, and you can actually take some of the stuff you find on your journey. You can actually build stuff as well. Like the more stuff you put in your town, like you can get. Oh, one of the cool things that they have is like guard towers, and I have like 3 or 4 guard towers in my town now. So when I'm out on a loop and I'm fighting, the guard towers will shoot arrows at the enemies while I'm fighting them. And I'm like, that's freaking awesome. But you can do things like you can set up a blacksmith shop and things like that. And you can start building things like that your town needs. And it's stuff like axes and, you know, cooking pots and pans and things like that. And this is stuff you actually find while you're out on the loop as well. But you take that stuff and then you kind of move it from your inventory into your supply for each, you know, little you know, like housing section that you build or whatever. And under the supply tab on some of them, when I try to move like an axe or a hammer from the supply into the house or whatever, the game throws up an error message and then immediately kicks me out of the game, which isn't that big a deal because the game saves like every 2 seconds. So I just go right back to where I was. It's not like I lose like hours of progress. I just get right back into the game where I was. But that's a weird glitch I've come across.
That is weird. I remember you mentioning that. I haven't come across any glitches yet, but I wonder if the developers know about that.
I don't know, but I'm going to send them a tweet. But I know they were working on something too on the the Steam version, the PC version. You can actually pin your some of your loot, like your you know, the things you use, like your, you know, weapons and things like that, while you're out on the loop. You know how you have the little box where your weapons that you collect go into. And if you don't use stuff, like you keep collecting stuff, like whatever's on the bottom will just kind of drop out and you get rid of it. Well, if you want to pin something, you can on the PC version, but the developer said they forgot to do it for the Nintendo Switch version, and they're going to put that in the next patch.
I gotcha. Okay.
So I like, that's a really cool thing, because like sometimes there's weapons I'll get that I want to keep because further in the game you can put up little towns, and you can put out on the outskirts of the towns that you can put like wheat fields or something like that, and they spawn like scarecrows. But in the towns, the town gives you when you're going around the loop, the town will actually give you 30 when you pass through the town. It'll give you a 30% you know, boost to your health and give you life, but it also spawns thieves as well. And sometimes when you're fighting these thieves, they'll just take your weapon from you while you're fighting. And I'm like, what the hell happened to my weapon? So I got to equip another weapon real quick. So yeah, that's why I like, that would be really cool to be able to pin some weapons up at the very top. So if I run across some thieves, I won't have to worry about losing my weapon anymore.
Yeah, you definitely don't want that.
But yeah, I don't really have much more to say about the game. I mean, if you're into these type of, you know, card building, you know, like deck building sort of, you know, like a role playing deck builder, you know, roguelike, it kind of smashes a bunch of different genres together, but it does it really, really well. And if you like that sort of just one more turn type of gameplay, this game has got it in spades, man. Like, I just can't stop playing this thing.
I'm definitely looking forward to playing it more now that I'm really starting to dive into it, because I've learned what you mean by that. I'll just do a little bit more and then just keep going and going and going. So I've been looking for a game like that I can just kind of jump right in and play.
Yeah, and
so
it's one of those games you can sit and still like watch TV while you're doing it. I mean, I know it sounds like there's a lot going on, but once you kind of figure out the game, you can really just play it while you're doing something else, like watching a TV show. And until you get to the, your middle parts where you're like, okay, well, I want to, build up my town a little bit. But while you're out on the loop, you can kind of just play it. It kind of just plays itself, really.
Yeah.
But
no, you're right.
But on a scale of 10, I got to give it a solid 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I would, from what I've played of it, I would give it probably a 7.5 to an 8, but I base that on the fact that I haven't played it all that much.
Yeah,
so it's tough for me to give a legitimate score, but I like it. I'm not as into those styles of games as you are, but it is fun and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, and if you're into the like old computer games and like that the Amiga era of computer games, like early PC stuff like that, like this game is just it reminds me of that era, like the old Sierra games and things like that. It screams that era of gaming. Like, you could tell the people that made this game like want to harken back to that era of computer games.
Yeah,
but
I would agree with that.
But yeah, I'm glad you finally got it, and I think after you play it for a while, you'll bump up your score, because I think it's one of those games that it kind of just gets under your skin.
Yeah, I would agree.
But that's going to be it for this week. Do you want to tell the people about the Nerd Cave Retro panel, or you want me to tell them?
Yeah, I can take it. Yep. So Pensacon's coming up in just under a month. It's back in February. Last year it was pushed back to May due to COVID. It's going to be February 18th through the 20th in my backyard of Pensacola, Florida, at the Bay Center. And the cool thing about Pensacon, longtime listeners know, but it's a convention that really the whole city gets behind. Like, you'll have different themed restaurants. This local seafood restaurant called the Fish House, they do a really awesome Harry Potter party every year, and like you walk in and you feel like you're at Hogwarts.
Yeah.
So they just do all kinds of really cool stuff around town, and this is probably going to be the most stacked lineup that Pensacon has ever had, which I'll get into in a second. But Jason and I will be doing a Nerd Cave Retro panel. It's going to be Saturday, February 19th from 5 to 6 p.m. in room 2 of the Bowden building. And I'm going to be posting an event on Facebook later this week with the address and a little bit more information on it. It's, for those who don't know where it is, it's in downtown, right outside the historic district behind the T.T. Wentworth Museum. So yeah, it's basically the same area that we did last year's panel.
It's not far from the main, con area. So
no,
yeah, like half a mile? Like, it's within walking distance.
Yeah. That's the cool thing, is that a lot of the stuff that Pensacon does is within walking distance, or they will have a trolley running. So if you don't want to drive, you can hop on the trolley and go between the Bay Center and the different panel venues.
Yeah, that's what we did last year. We just hopped the trolley everywhere.
Yeah. No, that's the way to do it. But yeah, that'll be February 19th, 5 to 6 p.m. Come listen to me and Jason run our mouths about video games.
Are we doing Defending Bad the movie this year, or are we skipping this year?
I decided to shelve it for this year because it's been a lot of fun, but I noticed last year that we were starting to kind of rehash some of the movies that we had done before. So I was like, you know what? We'll shelve it for a year, and then we'll maybe bring it back for 2023.
Sounds good to me. That's always one of my favorite things to do every year, is defending bad movies.
See, I want to do it one year where we get someone else to moderate it. So I have to be the one to defend it. That way I don't get I don't get out of the argument.
Yeah.
Because there'll be some that I'll just sit here like I'm not gonna say anything.
It's hard to do sometimes. Like the year before, I had to defend the Star Wars Holiday Special. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
I saw a shirt. It was either online or it might have been in the mall. It had a picture of Chewbacca and it said "Happy Life Day." I kind of wanted to get it.
Oh, it's one of those kitschy things.
Yeah, but as far as Pensacon itself goes, like just let me try and sell you on it. Let me just list off a few of the names.
Mm-hmm.
We have Alex Winter from Bill and Ted, Amy Jo Johnson, the original Pink Power Ranger from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Potsy and Ralph Malph from Happy Days, both will be there. Mr. Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario himself, Chandler Riggs, aka Coral from The Walking Dead, David Yost, the original Blue Power Ranger, George Takei from Star Trek.
Oh
my! For all you classic wrestling fans, the Honky Tonk Man will be there. Mr. Rob Paulson, who is the voice of Pinky from Pinky and the Brain, as well as Yakko from Animaniacs and the original Raphael from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So you got something for everybody. And they're not paying us to say this, but I know we've both been supporters of Pensacon really since the beginning. So it'll be a fun year.
And let's not forget Tom Adkins himself from Halloween 3.
From Halloween 3, yeah.
I'm going to throw a 6-pack of Schlitz up on the counter and be like, hey, let's go on an adventure.
You should totally get your picture with him and send it to Joey.
Oh, I will. Trust me. But what's going on with the Feature Press pod? Oh, Wally just jumped in the chat room and said, who cares about Tom Adkins? You're banned. Perma banned from the chat room.
I love that he jumped in just at the very end to throw one little tick. Oh, man.
You jerk.
You joke.
That was funny.
You and your jerk face and your jerk comments. But yeah, for this week's feature presentation, do another top 5 list as voted on by the Patreon subscribers of that show. I list top 5 movies from the 1980s.
Oh, I need to do my list.
I also talk about well, I've already recorded the segment.
Oh, so damn.
It's all. I recorded it yesterday so I could get it out early for Patreon.
Sorry, I had a long, weird day yesterday. I didn't get anything done yesterday.
No, it's all good. There'll be plenty of other top 5 lists. So I also review The Tragedy of Macbeth, which is a lot better than I expected it to be. There's your little tease for that. And I talk about the latest, movie news, like the new Knives Out sequel coming out, the trailer for Moon Knight, and a few other things as well. So a little more news heavy episode this week, but still a lot of fun. So you can check that out on YouTube and most major podcast platforms. What now?
Wally says my Halloween sense was tingling.
But if you want to follow the show on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at FeaturePresPod.
Now, go check out the Open Micers podcast at Open Micers on Twitter and Instagram. It is a host-filled month with me and Jacob. No guests this month because we are gearing up for a guest-filled February. So the last episode we talked about the very weird night we had at the comedy competition in Mobile, and where Jacob pretty much almost got in a fight. Well, he pretty much did get in a fight, but ended it pretty quickly. Our buddy Krangus, who's a comedian, almost got in a fight. Just go listen to the show. It was insane that whole night. So go check out our last episode of Open Micers over at Open Micers on Twitter and Instagram and wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. So Derek, anything else before we get out of here tonight?
I can't really top, Jacob and Krangus almost getting into a fight. So I think we're done.
It was a rowdy Mobile crowd, but
sounds like it.
You'll have to go listen to the episode to find out the details.
Yeah. I'll check it out this week.
But if you'd like to email us, you can email us at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/nerdcaveretro, Instagram and Twitter at nerdcaveretro, and individually at jfunktastic and at Derek_Diamond. You can go buy our merch at ncrmerch.com. Well, we got something new about to drop, and it has to do with Mr. Wally Phelps himself and his catchphrase. So keep an eye out for that really, really soon. And we're at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro, where as little as $1 a month gets you those extra episodes. I just did a Pop Culture Pal Rewind the other day that just dropped exclusively for patrons. And of course, we do the extra episode of the commentary tracks every single month. And of course, leave us a review wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. So Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Yes.
Chucker, eh?
And that was an episode.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that was fun. Finally, I got to talk about Lupiro because it's just been building and building.
The most anticipated review in Nerd Cave Retro history.
Yeah. I think I'm going to try to get Kingdom Hearts done before my next review.
Okay. Yeah, I'll and I can throw in, my 2 cents on that too. I haven't played it in a long time, but I love that game.
I got me a new Papa-san chair up here on the top floor. That way I can be comfortable and play my PS2. So I might give it some wear and tear this weekend and
nice.
Fire up the old PS2 and finish up Kingdom Hearts.
That sounds like a great weekend.
But I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight, and we will see you guys next week.